What's up, guys? I'm Marshall of the Derelict Armory, and I can already tell there's a burning question just at the very tip of your tongue. The answer is yes. I did get this jacket on Amazon. I'll link in the description below. Today we're going to be talking about something that has been one of my special interests, you could say, for a while. In fact, this video is probably half the reason I created this channel to begin with. This video has been 5 years in the making. Now, to be fair, not all 5 of those years are effort being put into the video, but it was building. That's beside the point. Today we're going to be talking about steel armor. Now, if you are a prepared citizen, right, and you are looking at all the options of things that could multiply your effectiveness in a life or death situation, then one of the first things you'll run into while looking around the internet is body armor. I mean, who wants to be shot, right? Who doesn't want to wear body armor? Who doesn't want to look like their favorite, characters in 13 Hours or, Black Hawk Down? Pretty sure they were in body armor in that one. It's helped along by the fact that everything in this industry is pushed on you as a must-have, right? You gotta have a kill flash on your freaking optics. That's ridiculous. The point is body armor, right? I'm not here to debate the merits of civilian body armor usage. I'm not here to talk about, what brands are the best necessarily. I'm here to talk about steel. If you are in college and you're operating on a budget, right, and you want to get that increase in survivability, you take to the internet to do some research like any good discerning consumer would, and you'll inevitably run into a very heated debate. Every time you see someone talking about their steel armor purchase and how it's just as good as ceramic, which it's not, you will have a million people, hyperbole, you'll have many people dogpiling on that person and all repeating the same exact line. Steel body armor will get you killed. That's what they'll say. And it's not going to be because, it weighs you down, you won't be able to move, or, it's not as protective and, it won't stop shrapnel or bullets. Not even like, the long-term effects of wearing steel body armor forever are going to be horrible on your back. They are always talking about spalling, which, to cover myself, I'm fully aware that it is not actually spalling, it's fragmentation, right? Obligatory overlaid explanation. They call it spalling, so for the sake of continuity, I'm going to as well for the duration of the video. 15-second explanation for those who don't know. Imagine you have a glass in your hand, right? And you spike it into the floor, onto asphalt or something. It's going to shatter, and the shards of glass are going to spread out across the face of the asphalt, right? Now imagine a bullet doing that at thousands of feet per second and hitting something harder than itself and shattering. Imagine how fast those fragments are traveling. So, the line of reasoning goes, if that steel is up against your chest and the bullet strikes it and shatters, it's going to send fragments up into the bottom of your chin and your neck and off to the sides into your arms, whatever's sticking out in front. It's going to be a bad time. And I saw this so many times. I've seen this way more times than I care to count. The most egregious example, and for the life of me, I couldn't find this comment. I'll look again when I'm editing to see if I can dig it up somewhere. But I am telling you, this dude in the iFunny comment section, he tried to tell me that, that he was a veteran, like a special whatever, he's lying, right? And he tried to tell me that when he saw people coming at him with steel body armor on, he was ecstatic because he knew that he could just keep shooting the guy in the middle and sending fragments everywhere and taking out all of his buddies and basically just doing some absurd video game combo move to wipe out a whole squad by shooting the guy with steel plates. Obviously that's the most extreme example, but the idea is still prevalent. And my college self, as a steel body armor owner, didn't take kindly to such absurdities. And so I embarked upon this expedition all the way back in 2021-22 to test and tell for sure if this spalling thing was actually true. Now, there are a number of mitigating devices that you can use with steel body armor, and it's customary to pair them with plates so that you do avoid as much, unneeded damage as you can. One of these is a spall sleeve or plate bag or, whatever the company is going to call it. Basically, it's like a plate-shaped pocket that you can slide your plate into, right? And it's self-contained so that if a bullet does hit it and shatter, it's got Kevlar on the front that'll kind of work to catch that and cushion it. 2 is the coating on the plate itself. So basically, like a substance that clings to the plate and it's soft enough that if a bullet does hit it again, it works to catch that, fragmentation, not send it outward. Finally, you've got the plate carrier itself, which isn't really built to contain fragmentation, but there's still varying levels of quality that you got with different brands and makes and whatnot. I set out to test all these factors however many years ago. I'm sorry for long-time viewers, I lost the Army-issued please, 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 please don't kill yourself booklet, so we're going to have to work with this one for now. Hopefully we can make it long enough to get our hands on another one of those. So the very first test was, again, years ago, not extremely scientific. I was about 15 yards away from the target, firing out of my, 16-inch Springfield St. Edge with, like, Winchester white box 55 grain ammo. The first test that day involved a steel target, so not body armor, like an actual, like, hanging, swinging target you're supposed to plink at, right? It has no coating, no sleeve or anything. I just had it bare, set up in my little test chamber. I shot it, and what do you know? Spalling isn't a myth. It basically made this consistent, like, line pattern all the way around in the box it was set up in, of little fragments just shredding through the cardboard. Like, I'm surprised the bullet fragmented into that many little pieces. The second test involved taking that same plate and sliding up inside one of those plate bags. I shot it again, didn't go well. This is actually that sleeve from way back then. I guess it must have been tilted ever so slightly to the right because it all just shredded out this side here. So yeah, if you were wearing this and you were turned to kind of like, you would be if you were holding a rifle or a handgun, and your arm was out here, that would have gone straight into your arm. Okay, so less than ideal, but we also hadn't tested with actual armor yet. So I took my AR-500 armor plate, slid it into the bag, set it up, smacked it, and there was absolutely nothing. I shot with 2 of those Winchester 5.56 rounds and then one .308 of unknown make and model. And not only did nothing escape the sleeve, most of it didn't even make it into the sleeve. Like, there's a photo I'll pull up of that plate. It seems like all of the fragments, for the most part, just got caught inside of the base coating itself. Of course, the ones that did make it to the sleeve didn't get through. So what did we learn from day 1 of testing? We learned that fragmentation is real, we learned that the plate bag alone is insufficient to protect you from fragmentation, and we learned that the coating on the plate, when paired with said plate bag, is capable enough to catch spalling and fragmentation from, the most ubiquitous of, 55 grain 5.56. Now after that day, I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had been vindicated in my position. I had been reassured of the quality of my purchase, which, given I did just shoot and therefore compromise, but if I had gotten shot before I did that, I was feeling like I would have been fine. I saved the photos and used them as ammunition in my forever war against steel haters on the internet, and I planned on making this video all the way back then, but I just never got around to it. So cut to this year, I've got a little bit more recording equipment, I've got, a little bit more life experience, firearms experience. I decided, you know what, it's time to put an end to this. And so I made this channel and started the process of repeating the test so that I could replicate the results and be even more right. So I bought new plates. I had sold those previous plates to a friend, which, before you get on me for selling shot plates, 1, she was only using them for weight training, and 2, she didn't even pay me, so, who's the real thief here? Anyway, I bought new plates, and I bought new sleeves, and I went to go repeat the test again. I tried to replicate the same kind of, variables, so it was a 15 yards, I even, beamed it with my, my rangefinder for 15 yards. It was in the winter, so I guess you could say there's different atmospheric conditions from the summer, the first test, but, yourself. I was still using M193. In fact, I got this, the box of it right here. This is the exact ammunition I used. It's this MagTech, 5.56 by 45 ball. Doesn't really show the statistics on here. I'll throw up like a ballistics, velocity chart or whatever. The main variable that was different was at this time I was using my 20-inch AR, which, if you have never been on the internet before and looked up anything about AR-15s, I get to be the first one to tell you that it was built for 20 inches, and therefore, with the optimal burn time and whatever other factors go into it, the most ballistically effective 5.56 comes out of 20-inch barrels. Anyway, for my first test, I took a plate, put it in a plate bag, and put the bag inside of a very cheap, like, Amazon plate carrier. I'm going to interject here and spoil a little bit, just so you don't get the wrong idea about the data that was gleaned that day. But not only was I using the same plate bag from the first test, which had already been shot, you know, it was like minimally damaged, but in this test I actually had it flipped around backwards, so the strike face of the plate was facing the back side of the plate bag, which, if you don't know, the Kevlar that actually does the spall catching job is only on the strike face of the plate bag. So as far as the plate bag is concerned, you can just... it's a non-factor in this test. Ignore it. Alright, so I recorded the entire video and then realized that my phone just gave up like 20 minutes in. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. Alright, so day 2 of testing, right? I put one shot in the crappy plate carrier. Pretty good, you know, most of the fragments were caught inside there. It only destroyed a little bit of the cheap, you know, nylon cover. After that, things got a little crazy. Shot 2 destroyed a lot more, and then every subsequent shot shredded the plate carrier to ribbons. Alright, so test 3. I took the plate, I put it inside the spall sleeve, which at this point I realized that, you know, the whole strike face being on the wrong side thing, so I flipped it around. Mind you, this is the compromised plate bag from test 1 back like in 2021, so it's not in tip-top shape per se. Set it up, shot it. Shot 1 was pretty good, maybe like one little fragment escaped if I remember correctly, and then subsequent shots absolutely disintegrated the entire thing. It was, there's nothing left. Actually, there is something left. This is all that remains of that poor plate bag. Closed casket for sure. So yeah, not only did it absolutely shred the plate, but it also started hole punching 55 grain freaking bullets through the actual plate steel itself. You can see the light coming through there. I don't want to mess up the focus on the camera, but you can kind of see this like flaky stuff. That's that base coat I was talking about, and then everything in this lighter gray kind of section, that's just bare steel that's been exposed from the fragmentation. You can also see it's pretty deformed. I don't know how well you can see that. I mean, it doesn't much matter. You're Swiss cheese at this point anyway, but, you know, to add insult to injury. So after the spall sleeve got wood chippered and the plate itself was literally defeated ballistically, I kind of gave up with the whole spall thing for that test, and I just started hammering it with my green tip, like Winchester M855, just to see how that would react. And it took 10 rounds stacked exactly on top of each other to actually make it through with that ammo, as opposed to, again, I think about 10 rounds of that M193, the 55 FMJ from earlier, resulting in like 5 holes in it. After that, I wanted to bust another little myth. Basically, there is a thing going around that says if you take duct tape, if you are so cheap that you won't pay the $20 or whatever for built-up coating and then the spall sleeve and all that, you can take duct tape or, you know, it's like truck bed spray or whatever, and you can use that on your plate to kind of replicate that spall catching effect or that fragmentation stopping effect of the actual, you know, coat it's supposed to come with if you just paid $20. So I wanted to test that. I took an entire roll of duct tape, wrapped it around and around and around for freaking 15 minutes, set it up, blasted it, and what did you think was going to happen? ATF search warrant. He's still moving. Wait, here comes his dog. Border Collie, 3 o'clock. Swap to green tip. So don't do that. Don't cheap. I know you're kind of cheaping out and just because you're here, but don't cheap out that hard. All right, takeaways from day 2. What did we learn? The first thing we learned is, like so many things in this kind of field, these items are really only good, like guaranteed as best as they could be good, for one impact. The plate gets hit one time, it stops the bullet. The coating gets hit one time, it catches the fragments. The sleeve gets hit one time, it catches the fragments. Once you start adding additional impacts afterwards, it deteriorates rapidly. If the second one doesn't already just screw everything up, then the third one will. The second thing we learn is that the actual pattern of the fragments isn't perpendicular so much. Like, I assumed that the fragments would travel and skitter along the face of the plate for the entire way. Therefore, most of the exits would be around the edge of the plate and, on the edge of this ball sleeve. When in reality, it seems like a minimal amount do that. At most, only travel an inch and a half in that direction. But the vast majority, the biggest volume of fragments, actually hit and then get deflected back outward. Now, I don't know if that's survivorship bias, where the fragments that are traveling laterally along the face of the plate are the most likely to be caught by the sleeve and the coat, and therefore you mostly see the other ones, or if it really is just like a hand grenade, like I said earlier. Now, at the very least, that means that you're not in as much danger as I previously kind of, expected, in that instead of all the fragments going to, your arms and your neck and, everything that's perpendicular or parallel, with the face of the plate, stuff's still going to do that, just not as much, because some of it's going to be going back outward. Alright, for test 3, I had relocated by that point, and so I was kind of looking around here for a shooting range. Not really many great ones. I did find one outdoor range, but they kind of forbid what I was trying to do. What that basically meant is that I could only do 2 shots on the target, and the footage isn't great. I think I was covering up the camera with a paper target for most of it. It also means that the target was at 50 yards instead of 15, and that it was up against a berm, so the plate was kind of angled upward like that. Maybe 20-25 degrees. I shot it once, and you're gonna have to trust me on this because, like I said, the footage isn't great. There were no penetrations on the sleeve. I felt my fingers around the edge. It wasn't even hot, right? Not only were there no holes, it wasn't even hot. There was some protruding, tennis ball green Kevlar on the point of impact, but no fragments had actually escaped that I could tell. Now, the second shot did result in some fragmentation, actually escaping the sleeve. So here, let me grab the stuff. Here's the plate itself. You can tell it was at an upward angle because all of the missing coating is above and to the sides of the impacts themselves. No real back face deformation, and definitely no penetrations at least, so that's good. Really goes to show you the difference between 50 yards and 15 when it comes to these ballistics. Here's that sleeve. That's where the impacts were clearly. But yeah, the second shot kind of tore up this part in a bit. So if I was wearing that, standing like this, maybe that hit me, maybe not. Probably just go to the stock of my rifle or something. I don't know. Point is, the trend continues. First shot is good. Second shot, things start to get dicey. Anyway, what did we glean? What can we compile from all this data we've gathered, right? One is that spalling and fragmentation is not a myth, okay? It can and will happen if you get shot, and it travels with enough force and velocity to be dangerous to you if it does get to you. The second thing we learn is that if you are going to run steel armor, it is absolutely imperative that you purchase all the accessories that come with it, right? Think of it like the Barbie dream house, okay? You need the plate, you need the spall sleeve, you need the built-up coating, not the base coating. You most likely need a trauma pad. We didn't even talk about those. You need to be doing everything you can to be giving yourself that survivability advantage, right? That's why you're here in the first place. That's why you're wearing armor to begin with. And the third thing is that even with all that stuff on, like we said just earlier, it's all gonna fall apart as soon as it starts getting hit, right? Which everything does. When shot, you're not a tank, okay? You're not gonna tank being shot with bullets. And that's not what armor's meant to do. It's not meant to be like Iron Man 1, where he, comes stomping out of the cave and all the terrorists are light him up with their G36 carbines. And he's just shrugging it all off, like maybe one gets through and he's like, and then he just freaking smokes the guy. That's not what this is supposed to be. You are not supposed to get shot. This is an if you do get shot, right? You won't have to rely on the classic technique of a thick Bible in your breast pocket, you know. Now, in conclusion, will steel armor get you killed? I'm gonna say no. I know what you're saying, like, oh yeah, well you just showed us all this fragmentation that happens, right? Okay, here's the thing, let's do a little thought experiment, right? You ate breakfast this morning, but how would you feel if you didn't? If you are wearing this armor and you get shot once, okay? You'll probably be good, it'll catch it, you'll be fine, okay? If you don't manage to get to cover and you get shot in the same spot again where it's been compromised, now you gotta worry about the spall. Now it goes into your freaking biceps, it goes into your, you know, chin, into your neck, your jugular veins playing a bullet hell. So how could that possibly not be steel armor getting you killed? Well, because if you're wearing ceramic armor and you get shot 2 times in the same place, it's the second one's just gonna penetrate through and into your body, right? And yes, while having hot metal, like tiny little metal shards entering your skin and muscles, is definitely gonna suck and, you know, might lead to problems, it's still better than actually being shot. Now, steel armor might not get you killed, but I crunched the numbers, right? Here, let me get my handy dandy, it'll be okay, don't do it notebook. So I paid $99 before shipping and handling and tax for these 2 plates that I used for these recent tests, which, I mean, I'm sure it was a deal, right? And that goes for all this armor. There's always a deal happening, okay? The 4th of July, the 250th 4th of July anniversary is coming up this year. You know they're going to do something crazy. So I got $99 for the 2 plates, plus the built-up coating, which is about $20 per plate, so let's say $40 for 2, right? Plus the spall sleeve, which run for about $50 a piece. I'm going to be generous and say you only buy 1 for the front of your chest, because, like, you're not going to need 1 on your back. So the base plus the coating plus the sleeve equals $190 for that whole package, not including the plate carrier, not including the trauma pads, and that's before shipping and taxes. Meanwhile, you've got companies like Spartan Armor Systems, Guard Dog Body Armor. In this case, I think it's LA Police, whatever, LA Protection. I'll put it on screen. But they're running a deal right now. You can get 2 ceramic plates of an equivalent NIJ threat rating for $230. And that one $230 purchase is probably not going to suffer nearly as much as those other 5 items when it comes to taxes and shipping and whatnot. So now it becomes, okay, I'm looking for cheap protection, right? I'm going to get level 3 because it's probably going to be people shooting a pistol or something at me, or at most, you know, like a Draco, you know, if you live in Legends apartment complex. I could either go for the steel, right? Not the steel, the steel like the metal, not like a great deal. It is a great deal sometimes. I can go for that for $190, or I could spend $40 additional dollars, if not less, to get equivalent ceramic plates. And with those ceramic plates, it's lighter, you don't gotta worry so much about that fragmentation. You get that peace of mind, you won't have to argue with as many retards on the internet. So steel body armor won't kill you, but I think that in the current day, where the market's at when it comes to body armor, just get ceramic plate. It's right there, okay? Buy once, cry once is a phrase that's repeated a lot in this industry, especially on social media like YouTube. And I hate to play into that kind of thing, especially when I'm so, we'll say, budget-minded. I call it Jewy, but yeah. So through my own research, in my effort to win this internet argument, I have come to the conclusion that I was partially in the wrong. And so if you have run into me in a comment section about steel armor and I called you a racial slur because you were hating on steel, I apologize. I sincerely apologize. You were still wrong, but I think ceramic is probably the way to go. I'm not apologizing to that one retard who said that, you know, steel turns people into walking, living claymores. Okay, that's ridiculous. Am I gonna hate you if you use steel? Of course not. That's my clan, right? Those are my people. It's my tribe. Armored Republic seems like a really base kind of company. They always seem to be on top of things. They got that same PSA kind of attitude of arming the everyman, you know, the proletariat. Sorry, let me use a less communist sounding word. People who have a job. But no matter what you do, stay safe, stay protected. ideally don't get in a situation where you have to use any of this stuff at all. And thank you for watching this video. Like I said, it's been a long time in the making. It's finally come to fruition. It feels good. Well, right now, I'm sure it's not going to feel great once I have to edit all this footage. But yeah, give me your opinions in the comment section down below about steel armor. You know, do you think it's still something that's extremely viable and competitive? Also, you have my full permission and endorsement, okay? I'm endorsing you. Take this video, clip it using the YouTube features, or take the URL or whatever from above, right? Compress it, send it out. This is your ammunition, okay? If you find yourself in an internet discussion on this topic, and these people are acting a fool, throw this video at them. Say, hey, Marshall from Derelict Armory told me that you're wrong and stupid. Now discuss in the comments down below. Don't do any of that in my comments, right? That's for external use only, okay? Here we're civil. Thank you for watching the video once again. I need to go to bed. Bye.